Sorry, I'm tired looking and kind of greasy looking here. I should probably be taking a shower and getting right to bed, but I wanted to record another video. And I just wanted to talk about my experience in the workplace because it's a topic that I see, get talked about in the context of what the workplace is like for Zoomers and why are they so disillusioned, and millennials feel like they're squished by the man and they're just demoralized. And you see topics like this get thrown around the internet all the time. No one can find work. People don't like the work they're doing. And I'm 29, so I'm kind of right between the generations. I don't know how I classify with the fancy words, but you know, nevertheless, I've had experiences. Other than my YouTube channel, I've worked all just normal entry level jobs. I mean, I've been a security guard. I I don't know if I want to go into my current job just because it feels like I don't know. That's just might be a privacy thing, but it's sort of related to that. My other previous jobs have been working in a warehouse, working in another warehouse, and doing retail, and working the night shift on retail. And I've worked part time. When I got out of high school, I would just work part time for a while, some in and out of college. Being stupid and young and not sticking to anything. Just like I'm gonna feel things out, and you know all that, wasting time basically. But that's a topic for another video. I was ended up doing full time hours, and now I'm in a place where I have my current job, and it's a good job. I really like it, but I still do YouTube on the side, and I'm between that I'm working way more than 40 hours a week, and there's things that stress me out related to what could happen in politics, what's happening on the international scene, and but as far as just work itself and having fulfillment, I feel like I'm in a pretty good place. You know, I I don't have too many complaints, and I, it wasn't always like that. I mean, some of the jobs I worked before, like doing the warehouse work, I really didn't feel like I fit in with the culture there, and I didn't feel like I knew how to properly find a way to fit in while you know still enjoying life there, or just getting by work in a passable way. I really liked doing retail. I mean, that place I can mention because it's closed. It was Toys R Us. So for like the Christmas season, they would bring me in, and I would stock the Lego section, and I really enjoyed that. I thought it was fulfilling. It probably seemed more fulfilling at the time because I was still pretty young, and by pretty young I mean like early 20s. I had these grandiose ideas of, oh, I'm going to be a musician, or I'm going to be a writer and all this. So the fact that that was a dead end job just, I guess, didn't really, didn't really hit me because I was kind of living in fantasy land. But it was a good job. I liked the people there. I liked the work environment. I enjoyed the work, and put in my earbuds and just listen to stuff all night. It was pretty cool. But one of the things I'll see, a lot of people will talk about just like hating their workplace, hating their boss, and that's something that I don't know if I've gotten really lucky, but I I really I've had problems with bosses before. There's one in particular who, he was a good guy, but he just would not communicate. He was like neurotic all the time. But for the most part, I've liked my bosses. I feel like if you kind of just know how to approach them, know how to approach the situations, you you do your work. In some cases you have to set up boundaries, or else even if they're a good boss, they're gonna naturally shift to putting more work on you rather than someone who's more difficult, to persuade to do things. But yeah, I'm not saying that other people are in this place where, well, they must be the problem because I had good bosses, but I did see some of that in the workplace where people would always complain about these guys, and it's like, our boss isn't that bad. They asked you to do this, it isn't unreasonable, or it's like hedonics kicks in. The boss has set up something that's new and nice, and everyone likes it for a week, and then they start complaining about it, and they forget basically how nice this was to begin with. I don't know. For the most part, I really had a hard time hating my bosses. Maybe sometimes when upper management would come in, I would get a little bit more pissed off at them. Definitely, when I was younger, I would get pissed off at the good bosses sometimes, even just because I'm young and immature, and who do they think they are? And now I'm just sort of like, I'm who am I really? I'm thankful to have the bosses I do and have the good coworkers I have. But that hasn't always been the case. I mean, first job I worked was it was a warehouse job, and it was sort of a rough and tumble environment. And I won't even say, like, not even totally in the, well, it's rough and tumble, but if you learn to play with the boys, you all, you kind of form a kinship. It wasn't, it was sort of like, basically, if you could lift 70 pounds on your own and you had a pulse, they would hire you. So you could imagine not everyone making it into the company were quality people. And you did just have a lot of those people who complained all the time, and they were bitter, and they resented you if you did a better job than them, or they were just always talking about people who were better off in life and getting pissy about it. It certainly wasn't everyone who worked there. There were some really cool people who worked there. A lot of times they were the ones who actually had things going on with their life, and you know, whether it was a side hustle or they had a good hobby on the side or something. But that brings to mind another thing, because I think of a lot of the more miserable people there. They were probably the people who were doing drugs. I'll hear about people, like young people talk about they can't find work, and I found if you're polite and you're respectful, you smile, you're clean to an extent. I mean, I'm not clean right now, but I don't know, you're just pleasant. You don't do drugs, you don't smell like weed, like you can really increase your chances of getting along in the workplace. I mean, so many of the people who I've seen screw that, like, get punished, get fired, it's like they made very clear mistakes. Now, I've heard about places where there was definitely scheming going on, and someone who was perfectly fine, or was, well, just as fine as everyone else working, they were kind of, someone went behind their back basically, and that's a really terrible environment. But they went behind their back and got them fired basically. But in most of the cases I can think of, it was generally kind of people who brought it on themselves. And that brings me to another thing is, I haven't thought about this next point like through and through, but I really do have the feeling that I never like benefited from a union overall. I felt like unions kind of protected lazy and rambunctious workers, like those workers who would just ride the line basically, and the company couldn't get rid of them because they were smart enough to not go over and they would just cause problems, and those were bad work environments, basically. I felt like because I was overall a good worker, is when I did do something stupid at another company that wasn't a union job, they basically gave me a slap on the wrist, and one of my bosses vouched for me, basically. And it was a humbling experience, but it was also like, if you're a good worker, they're going to look at your track record, basically. Yeah, so I guess with bosses, I just haven't had too many problems. I'll say with coworkers, the it I don't remember too much from college. I mean, I dropped out of college, so it's not really my thing. But one of the things I remember from a business class is them saying the ethics of your company, of the company you're in, sort of, they come from the top down. And I would see that in the workplace. It's basically the quality of the boss and the standards they set and what they let people get away with is basically, that's going to be as good as your company is. But another aspect is, what are their hiring standards? The first company I worked for, the really rough and tumble warehouse, was, excuse me, I think because I didn't get much sleep last night, I sound sort of shaky, and I really should be getting to sleep here. But, they basically would let anyone in the door, and you've seen it with the quality of people. The current job I'm working is that they really had an interview process where I felt like they really got a good feel of me. And it was more intimidating, but it's worth it. If you come into a job you're like, I don't want them to ask me about my background. I don't want them to expect me to smile or be pleasant. I don't want them to ask about my life or my friends or, any hard questions. It's like, okay, but by not holding yourself up to a higher standard, you gotta realize all these other people who are on this same level are going to be coming into the company. My current job, beyond just my hiring process, I've, got an idea of basically some of their other standards as far as hiring people, and it's like, okay, this is really good. That you could kind of see why it's a higher quality of person that makes it in there. And to some extent, a quality that I might have not met when I was younger, because I wasn't a troublemaker, but I did stupid things and I did ignorant things, and it was just more mature, when I was younger. And I think Toys R Us was one where they did a group interview, and they just kind of had everyone get together, and then they had group activities. But I think when they put everyone together, even before the formal process began, they were sort of seeing how we all got along with each other. And to me, that was a great way to vet, basically, are you sociable? Can you play nice? And yeah, Toys R Us was a place where I really liked my coworkers. A lot of people were quiet. They weren't the most talkative or welcoming crowd always, but they were always like fine people to work with. Never any problems from them. The current place is pretty great. Now I also worked as a security guard, and also once again no standards coming in, and some of those people. Some people were cool, but a lot of them did not stick around because a lot of the other people were absolutely crazy. And yeah, so hiring standards is a big thing. And that's going to go towards your quality of life when you're working. You don't want to go to work every day and be miserable or feel like you're antagonized by your coworkers or feel like you're paranoid or they're going to attack you. That's just a really bad thing. It's a bad situation to be in. I guess the other thing would be like pay. Now, I don't have time in this video to get in my whole background, but it's not like, like right now I currently live with my dad. I was living in an apartment for a while, renting it with my brother, and we made payments, and stuff. So right now it's just, my current workplace is closer to my dad's house, so I moved back in. But I I never complained. I don't think I ever really complained about pay too much. None of the jobs I worked were too high paying. I mean, even the YouTube channel I do now is doesn't make a ton of money. In conjunction with the current job, it's pretty nice. But all in all, I've never made a ton of money at once. But I look at it like I really don't do skilled labor. At the one warehouse, I learned some things other people didn't know, some things with the computer, so I was able to do a little bit more, basically get a little bit. I think I got a pay bump for that, but I mean, that's how much I just kind of accepted, like, yeah, I'm doing blue collar work. They're not going to pay me a ton. I mean, even my current job, it isn't blue collar and it does have more responsibility attached to it, but it's not like I did a ton of studying for it. So, I hear all these young people complain, or people my age, people younger, even people older, complaining about the pay they make. And I'm like, well, how replaceable are you? Maybe in some cases you can negotiate a higher pay, but, in a lot of cases, it's like your work just isn't that valuable. I guess to kind of just close it out, I work a job right now that I like, and I'm thankful to have it. And it's it doesn't pay as much as some of the other jobs I've worked, but it's worth it. I wouldn't want to lose it. And I just, all the negativity I see, and all the, I see so many people talking about not being able to get jobs, and maybe their experience is different than mine, but I see it in, the company I work with now has different departments, and, sometimes I see it with sometimes they're just not able to find good people. If some of these people would just buckle down and get better with their job, I don't think they would have as much of an issue. They're not going to be making any through the roof money, but, and I've been in that situation with almost all of my jobs, where I feel like I kind of slack off, and I need to basically get in line and do a better job, take it more seriously, and really appreciate what I have. So there's a lot more angles to talk about with a topic like this, a lot more aspects I can maybe expand on that explain my unique experience, but I feel like it is a unique experience. I don't feel like I've had the negative workplace experience that so many other people my age have.